Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Simply Complex podcast. We are here talking about fibromyalgia today. As you know, we talk about the hard subjects, the things that people think are simple, but we find the complexities in it. So we're going to talk about the complexities of fibromyalgia today. Fibromyalgia, we're going to read the definition that ChatGPT gives us, but we're going to dig deep today on what that really entails. But fibromyalgia is considered to be a disorder of pain regulation. Individuals with fibromyalgia experience an amplified pain to the signals of the brain, which leads to heightened perception of pain, even from the stimuli that may not hurt other people. So it's a widespread pain. It can cause fatigue, sleep disturbances, cognitive deficits. So basically, you begin to have fog brain, is what they call it, memory lapse, and things like that. Concentration issues, irritable bowel syndrome, or some type of digestive issues, headaches, anxiety, depression, mood swings, numbness. And yet there's no real cause. There are speculations. We have different people that believe different things, and we can explore that as well. But we're going to talk about Lucy's story today. So much I hear about fibromyalgia because I too, as you all know, I have fibromyalgia. It has been diagnosed over 20 years ago, or been having the pain over 20 years ago, and just recently got diagnosed 3 years ago. But always suspected there was something going on. We'll get into my story later. But right now, I want to just welcome Lucy, you guys. Welcome, Lucy. Let's give her some love.
Hi, everyone. So nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Lucy. I started having fibromyalgia symptoms in 2016, and I was diagnosed in 2018.
Okay. Do you sometimes they say that it's like a trauma that kind of happens that causes you to develop fibromyalgia. Was there like a surgery or an accident or something that happened for you?
Yes. Well, I do have a history of emotional trauma, which we may or may not get into it today.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2014 and 2015, I had two consecutive knee surgeries.
Oh,
They were both very invasive. And then there had also been a major accident in the family to my partner at the time, which was also a very traumatic experience. So as far as traumatic events, those were the things that were going on around the time that I started experiencing the symptoms.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Mhm.
You did let us know when you were diagnosed. What symptoms did you start to have, and did it amplify as time went on, or is it pretty consistent?
Yeah, so the first symptom I started experiencing was sciatica pain. I thought, oh, well, it's just, I'm recovering from surgery. Maybe it's just gonna fade away, and then it wouldn't, and I would go to the doctor, and they would do X-rays, and apparently the surgeries had gone pretty well. There was really no cause for sciatica pain at all. So they would just send me back home saying it's inflammation or whatnot, and then I would go back, and I went back several times, and then probably in 2018, my doctor said, well, I don't know what else to test for, so let me go ahead and touch you in certain parts of your body. Trigger points, I guess, are called, right?
Right.
And she did. And everywhere she touched, I was like, ow, ow, ow. I don't know what she was doing, but everywhere she touched, it hurt.
Right.
And she says, I have, it has to be fibromyalgia. It's like, I didn't want to diagnose you with that because there's no cure. We don't know what causes that, but it sounds like that's what it is. And of course, I was like, fibro who? Like, what is it?
Right.
What?
I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right sometimes.
Exactly. Right. Yes.
Right.
So during those 2 years before I was diagnosed, I noticed that I was extremely tired. And I've always been very active. And so I was really feeling that. And I couldn't explain why I was so tired. And then I noticed that I started to be very achy throughout my body. So it wasn't just sciatica anymore. And I definitely had the brain fog where simple tasks would be like, what would you, I have to what? Like chop this? Like, okay, what? It's simple stuff where it would just be so stressful for me to process in my brain. Like, okay, I need a break. Like, let me rethink what I'm doing here, So little things like that. And they were just throwing me off because, of course I would Google everything, right? Dr. Google before AI. And and it's like there were all symptoms, a couple of symptoms from different types of conditions, but none significant where I could say, oh, I have all the symptoms for this. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah. So anyway, my doctor eventually figured it out. She did send me to a rheumatologist, or I did refer myself to a rheumatologist for a second opinion, like a couple of years later, just because I wanted just to rule out, what if I have something else,
Right.
But it wasn't rheumatoid arthritis, which are similar symptoms. So that's a little bit of how I discovered that I had that.
And would you say that it's gotten worse over time, or would you say it's pretty much like the same from when you first started experiencing pain?
It did get worse because I remember the first 2 years I used to have flare-up days about 5 days a week. Not initially, just like gradually. And so at some point during that, once I figured out and researched it and I realized that there's no cure, nobody knows the cause, I mentally made a decision in my head. I am going to beat this.
Yes.
It's just like, no, I don't think so, you know?
Right.
So I started researching a whole bunch of supplements
Hmm.
at the time and started taking different ones and just doing different things. And I have my own vlog too, which it's not active anymore on fibromyalgia. And it's in Spanish. And I would share, I'm trying this is working, this is not, whatever.
Hmm.
I think I did it more as a support system to myself
Right.
because it's like I needed therapy. I needed to
Right.
communicate with people that would understand it, what I was going
Yes.
through every day.
Yes.
So I researched it for quite a bit of time, and through various supplements, I was able to decrease my flare-ups to 2 days per week.
Hmm.
So I knew I was onto something, but I couldn't really pinpoint it.
Hmm.
And then it plateaued, and where I wasn't having as many flare-ups, maybe flare-ups were once a week, every other week, every month.
Hmm.
So I started implementing a lot of lifestyle changes as well. And then when I saw that it plateaued, I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm gonna go get meds because I can't live with this
Yes.
much pain every day. Like, and I'm not that I'm anti-medicine, but I really was making that my last resort. So I did. I tried. I was on gabapentin for a couple of years, and it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't like, a huge, improvement necessarily. And then I said, well, I've been on it for a while. Let me see if I can deal with it without the meds. And then I went off of the meds again and try to continue different supplementation and things like that. And what I noticed was that I was doing other things that were making a difference. For example, I had started doing meditation,
Hmm.
like guided meditations through YouTube. I had started to do a lot of energy healing work. I mean, I'm a counselor by profession, but now
Okay.
I'm a Reiki healer as well,
Hmm.
as a result of my pain experience, right?
Right.
So I started to do a lot of energy, spiritual healing work on my traumas. And then I stopped eating meat just because energetically, like my body just didn't want it.
Hmm.
So I eat fish once in a while, but I'm mainly vegetarian. And then I started getting rid of a lot of unhealthy relationships in my life, very
Yes.
stressful, very toxic. And I started doing exercise. I would walk a quarter of a mile literally because that's all I could handle.
Hmm.
And then eventually worked my way up to 2 miles. And now I'm a salsa instructor. But I'm giving you such a really summarized version of my history, right?
Yes. Yes.
But what I have come to learn is that it really is a holistic approach to be able to manage all the symptoms in order for them not to drive you crazy. It's like you could do one thing and it's like, okay, that did a little dent, but I'm still in. And so I would notice, like, okay, if my pain would go up, it's like, what did you eat yesterday? Oh yeah, I had a glass of wine. Oh yeah, I had
Yes.
sugar. Oh yeah, I did too much work. Oh yeah, so and so stressed me. Oh, and I would always journal everything. So I've been doing
Hmm.
research on my own since 2018, I guess, 7 years now. Document everything. Like, okay, why do I have a flare up today? I had to understand it.
Hmm.
And so I would evaluate my last couple of days. What did I eat? What did I do exercise? Just check, check, check. Did I do this? Did I do that? And the more things that I was doing, the meditation, breath work, eating healthy, walking, supplements, healthy relationships, whatnot, the less pain or flare ups I would experience. Like I was able to gradually keep flare ups away for maybe one every 2 to 3 months.
Right. That's a very beautiful place to be, and people
Yes,
get that. That's
tell me about it. Oh my God, tell
yeah.
me about it.
Yeah.
So let me stop there so you can ask me questions because I can go on forever.
It's no problem. But I do have a question because you
Mhm,
mentioned uh, the unhealthy relationships,
mhm.
and I too. I'm sure so many people are going to resonate with the fact of the diagnosis and trying to do as much research as possible, right? And I have found that it's linked to trauma, in some cases, childhood trauma for some. And then I went a little deeper and then I began to realize that a lot of people that have fibromyalgia suffer with, either autism, ADHD, some type of learning disability they might have been diagnosed with,
Yeah.
especially those more, I would say, like in the 1990s 2000, being born around that, because I know at a certain time period there wasn't like therapy wasn't popular. I would put it like that. Getting diagnosed
Yeah.
with these disorders weren't popular. They would just put the kids in special ed or whatever, and a lot of these kids fell behind because they didn't get the assistance that they needed around that time period. Now, would you say that you find yourself maybe resonating with that at all, or have you ever?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I was a victim of sexual abuse
Okay.
at a very early age in my life,
Yeah.
probably, I don't know, maybe 8 to 11 years of age, I would say.
Sorry to hear that.
And thank you so much. And I had, worked through it in therapy and all of that. And I had made my peace and my closure on that, obviously. But then as I started researching fibromyalgia, here's what I found out. Fibromyalgia is triggered or caused by a dysregulated nervous system.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay, which we're gonna call it DNS right now because I have a hard time saying that whole phrase.
Right. Right.
Right, but so I realized that what could dysregulate your nervous system can be trauma.
Hmm.
Now, you could have already a precursor, genetically speaking, to have a DNS, right? So that doesn't mean you're going to have a dysregulated nervous system. However, if you do experience trauma at an early age or whenever, or a combination or series of traumas, you're definitely more likely to dysregulate your nervous system because you're
Right.
already kind of prone to that.
Right.
And so the more I researched, the more I realized that DNS can then affect conditions like digestive
Yes.
symptoms. And I do have IBS. I've had
Me
IBS
too.
since I remember, really.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which came first, the chicken or the egg, but I do know that
Right.
right, but I do know that the abuse happened very early in my age, right?
Hmm.
And over the years and kind of just going through life, and obviously I didn't get therapy for that until many years after that, once I kind of knew
Hmm.
what therapy was.
Hmm.
um then obviously there were a series of other abusive relationships in my life later on in my older years,
Right.
and just different emotional life circumstances that were just draining my nervous system. And the IBS, I didn't even pay attention to that because it was always just such a part of me. It's like, okay, whatever, it's a pain in the butt, but whatever.
Hmm.
But so it definitely, the way I understand it now, it was an accumulation of traumatic circumstances, which for me started at a very, very young age.
Hmm.
And then there was domestic violence, and then just a number of things, right? And then obviously then the physical surgeries and so forth and so on.
Right.
So what I have found out with the DNS is that it accumulates what we call oxidative stress.
Come on. Yep. I've
Yes.
been looking at
Okay.
that as well.
Yes.
Blueberries
Yes.
are my favorite.
I know. I know. So oxidative stress, obviously I am not a doctor. I don't even know how to explain all of this stuff, but I do
I'm with you
understand.
though.
Yes, yes, but I do understand that oxidative stress can accumulate and can dysregulate your nervous system even more,
Yes.
causing conditions such as fibromyalgia or
Hmm.
other chronic conditions or
Hmm.
even immune conditions and so forth and so on, including IBS, right?
Hmm.
So I said, okay, I had tried early on to take glutathione, which was a supplement at the time at my early stages. And I noticed it did a little bit of impact, but I was taking so many supplements and not journaling thoroughly enough that I just kind of like didn't know what was helping me and what wasn't.
Right. Right.
So for some reason I stopped taking it. And then I was sharing with you the other day by text that just about a month ago, I came across it again, not sure how, but decided to revisit that topic and research it again. So I found out that you can also get another supplement called NAC. NAC allows you to kind of develop your own mechanisms to fight toxins in your body, and
Hmm.
glutathione just kind of helps you fight any oxidative stress. So I've been taking these two supplements for about a month, going on a month and a half right now, and I'm documenting, and I'm not wanting to add other stuff because I
Right.
want to do it a little bit more
Thorough.
thorough. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. So up until this point, a month ago, I was taking Motrin and Tylenol because I decided to stop gabapentin a while back.
Hmm.
So I was
I
taking
love how
Motrin.
you're like sliding into my questions before I even get like this is
I
all.
know, so you really do have to stop me, but I know we're pressed for time, so I'm like,
No, you're fine. You're fine because that was going to be one of the questions. Like, what are the medications that you've tried, and how
Mhm.
successful have they been?
Right. So then I think I stopped the supplements because I'm like, I need to give my body a break.
Hmm.
And I was doing so many lifestyle changes that were really helping me as well.
Hmm.
So I really want to pinpoint that that's extremely important, right? But I said I'm still, I was my pain levels up to a month and a week ago were between 4 to 7 daily, right?
Hmm.
Not comfortable. Uh, so anyway, I was taking Motrin and Tylenol alternating 4 to 5 days. a day taking medication, and then taking like a 2 hour nap in the middle of the day because my body was just, it was drained from, dealing with so much pain.
Right.
Like pain is in the background, but it's draining you.
Yeah.
And then after, like around 2 o'clock, like I can't take this anymore. I just have to just withdraw from the stimuli. Now that I understand DNS, I know that different stimulation just regulates the
Yes.
nervous system. And you have
Yeah.
to always be like, keep it regulated.
Right.
So,
Turn off the
so
lights. Stop the noise.
exactly. So anyway, I decided to go back to it, did a little bit more research, and now what I'm doing is taking. Oh, so anyway, from a month and a week ago, I have not been taking Tylenol or Motrin, and
Awesome.
my pain level has been living between 2 to 4, sometimes 5. And the way now I calm the pain is I take magnesium mallet because it relaxes my muscles. So, and if I do need to take a nap, it's okay. I'll just take a nap. It's not the end of the world. I have to tell myself.
No, I listen. The self-talk is something that is, I think a lot of people would be able to resonate with. It's very common because, well, forget the condition, but especially with the condition, right? Because you feel inadequate at times. And, I'm going to say this and then ask you, how does it make you feel? But from my experience, I literally have to say sometimes, like, it's okay to go to sleep. It's okay to rest. It's okay you can't come over someone's house. It's okay you can't show up at this event. It's okay. It's okay you have to order out tonight because you don't have it in you to cook.
You have to give permission to yourself every time.
Yeah.
And if I have to mention something, and I'll continue with the supplements because I really want to make sure that at least we give the community a little bit of hope.
Sure.
But if I had to say something, is that fibromyalgia has taught me so much about loving myself and taking care of myself.
It's so vital.
And in allowing myself to set these boundaries. And unfortunately, sadly, I have gotten rid of a lot of relationships, because they were just,
Me too.
I couldn't handle them anymore, not with fibro. And so, yeah, it's a constant reminder, like, it's okay to give yourself permission. It's fine. It's fine. Just go to sleep, just rest, just do you. I don't care, whatever. Just, it's okay. So it's an ongoing thing. Thank you for mentioning that.
Of course.
So what I wanted to show you the products, not because obviously I don't get commission out of this. And
Right.
please, I'm not a doctor. Always check with your doctor. But this is the magnesium that I take.
Okay.
It's magnesium mallet.
We'll definitely put the link down below.
Yes. And then for the NAC, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. But this is what allows your body to develop what it needs to fight your toxins for oxidative stress. And it's NAC. Oops. Yeah. I cannot focus it.
That's okay. We'll definitely put it in the link. In the description below, and then add it to the video over just a little. Oh, there we go. We got a snapshot of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then glutathione, which I knew about it. I don't know why I didn't keep taking it, but anyway, glutathione. Let's see.
Yeah.
Glutathione. And make sure whatever brand you get, it doesn't matter. Just make sure it's any brand that goes directly to your blood. So it's most effective. And when I took glutathione about a month ago, like within 2 or 3 hours, I noticed a decrease in pain right away.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing that I take is
I'll be shopping tonight.
Yes. You know what? And I'm not saying it's going to work for you, but
right. Yes. So really,
it's not going to hurt your body. I doubt it. But
right.
Just check with your doctor just in case. Right. And I also take a multivitamin because, and that has helped me not to nap as much. And I take Nutri-Light. Unfortunately, they're extremely expensive, but they're so complete. I don't have a sample, but it's Nutri-Light multivitamin packet. Okay. They're very expensive, but they're very, very comprehensive in what they come with. So those are the 4 things I've been taking for a month, and I'm documenting pain levels every day. How much do I nap? And, sometimes I have to take an extra glutathione or an extra NAC or an extra magnesium because sometimes the pain does go to level 6. And so, but I was so tired of taking.
Really quickly, Miss Lucy, give me 1 second, because I think that this is important to speak to those that may have tried those supplements. And something you said was very important. It may not work for you, and if it doesn't work for you, don't get discouraged. Okay, this is a disease that they still don't know the cause. So everyone's trigger can be different. Everybody's journey can be different. You use what you can, and you eat the meat and spit out the bones. But know that we are still here. This is a community that we are building to really aid those that feel like they don't have anybody. And Miss Lucy, if I may, really quickly, because I love the positivity that you're giving, because you're now at a place where I won't say you're in remission because you're clearly still having pain.
I will be. Come on. That's another thing. You know what? Our healing starts with deciding that we're going to heal.
That's so true. That's so true. But
it's a conscientious, heartfelt Well, even if you don't feel it in your heart, it doesn't matter. Lie to yourself. Just tell yourself every day, I'm going to conquer this. I'm
Yes.
going to heal.
Mm-hmm.
My body's capable of healing itself. And it starts there. And then, like you said, just, it doesn't hurt. Just research different things, try different things. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. And I love the fact that you're bringing the positivity because we want to bring hope. That's the whole point of this, to bring
Mm-hmm.
awareness to those that don't understand, which we're going to get to that side in just a moment,
Mm-hmm.
of the pain levels, because a lot of people don't understand that their family member or loved one is not faking. This is a disease in which many years ago they used to call the mind disease, because they thought it was in people's minds rather than actually scientific pain that is actually proven in the body. So I want to, of course, give that hope. And I am a believer of Jesus Christ. I know everyone isn't, and that's okay. But
Yeah.
I believe that he can and he will. But in the meantime, in between time, I do want to allow room for the healing, but not to glorify what's going on, but to also bring awareness to those that don't have hope and understand that what they're feeling is okay. And so, if you will, with me, just take a journey back just a little bit. Before you found these supplements that were so beneficial to you, where were you? I know that you did mention having to speak to yourself. I am big on having to declare my healing each and every day, and really truly believe that and speak to myself that all things will be okay. And it can always be worse. I hate to say it like that, but you have to remind
Mm-hmm.
yourself how blessed you truly are.
Yeah.
But I want you to talk about what that felt like. And did you have people in your life that didn't really quite understand or care, for that matter?
Yeah, I think for a couple of years now, I've been in a place of, I don't want to say acceptance in the sense that I accepted I'm never going to heal and it's fine. No, acceptance in the fact that I'm not healed yet,
There
and
you
it's
go.
okay, and it's
Right.
okay.
Yet.
But
Right.
every day I'm going to do all my lifestyle changes that are mentioned. There's a blog on my channel that I talk about all what those different lifestyle changes were.
Yes.
It is in Spanish if anybody is listening and speaks Spanish. Anyway, so I was at a place where, like, it is what it is. I'm where I'm at. I am very active. I teach salsa classes 4 times a week,
That's
and
awesome.
it's funny that you say that. Sometimes people don't believe that. I just had a student of mine share with another student, say she don't have fibromyalgia, and it breaks my heart every time I hear people say that.
Yeah.
It really does, because I am teaching salsa as I am in pain.
There you go. Because you're going to be in pain regardless. So you
Right.
tell
So
yourself, at least let's try to do something productive.
yes, because it distracts my mind. It
There you
allows
go.
me to move my body. And there's so
Yeah.
many benefits to doing these lifestyle changes. The other option would be lay in bed and mope and cry, because sometimes, I mean, just like a month or and a half ago before that, my pain was so strong. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to allow myself to cry right now because
Yep.
I can't take it anymore. And I was just crying.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So that's where I was at, making peace with where I was at. And then just, don't letting the fact that people don't understand it or believe me get to me, and just allowing me that self-care whenever and as often as I needed to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's where I was. And if you where I'm at now, obviously it's only been a month. I don't want to get excited, so I'm going to keep journaling for another month, and before I add another supplement that I have in mind is CoQ10, because that also helps with brain cell development every generation. But anyway, that's another topic.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I forgot to mention just really briefly, I do take a pre and a probiotic every day as well.
Okay. That is some very, very, very good stuff. And what would you say if someone, as you mentioned, sometimes we get in the bed and like somebody like me, I use me as an example.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bulging disc in my neck and in
Mm-hmm.
my back. So my sciatic nerve always flares. I have all the tension in the shoulders that we get, my elbows, my knees, the bottom of my feet, my hands. And sometimes the pain is so bad that I can't leave the bed, or I have to do what I have to do and go straight to bed. Not necessarily sleep. I get the most production done sometimes in the bed, but sometimes I get low and I feel inadequate. What would you say to someone like me watching this right now? I just want to give up on everything and I feel like no one hears me.
I think, if you can engage with journaling, that's a really nice tool that I have found very helpful.
Yes.
And just write and practice journaling every morning. Every morning, just get your journal, whatever, just any notebook, and just write whatever comes to your mind. But definitely, if you're experiencing those moments of like, I'm just done, I'm just like done, and it's obviously I can relate. I laugh because I can relate. I've had so many of those days, right? And so what I do at that moment is like, you know what, today I need to take a little bit of extra Tylenol when I was taking Tylenol.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, I need to after I would cry, I said, today I need to sleep a little bit longer. So I would make sure my family and everybody knows I am going to be sleeping, taking a longer nap today.
Mm-hmm.
So it's giving yourself a little bit extra time to rest and letting your family members, if you're a mom, if you have a husband, I am going to need to create some space. I need help with this. I need help with that. I, I have to go to rest,
Mm-hmm.
and be very assertive about that. And hopefully your circumstances or your relatives or whatnot will understand that. But it goes back to giving yourself that permission to, today I'm going to do less work, I'm going to rest longer, and I'm going to be okay with it. And I might take a little extra Tylenol if I need to, and cry it out. And the reason I really recommend the sleeping is because we go back to the dysregulated nervous system, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Fibromyalgia, I mean, I happen to have ADHD. That's not to say everybody with fibro has ADHD, right?
Right.
But the the nervous system, I have found, at least for me, is that my nervous system is very sensitive to stimuli,
Mm-hmm.
light, temperature, as you know,
Yeah.
right? Noise,
Yeah.
sometimes people's voices.
Yes. The tones. Don't talk like
Yes.
that.
Like, and that's because the nervous system is so sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
So I really recommend whatever it takes to get you to go to sleep, just go to sleep, because you need a mental breakdown. We
Yes.
need the emotional breakdown too. So you cry it out, you journal, right? And then I'm just gonna shut down my mind,
Mm-hmm.
because you just have to. Otherwise, it's really hard for our nervous system to regulate itself again, because there's stimuli everywhere. And the only
Mm-hmm.
way I'm able to give it a real break is if I truly can go to sleep and shut it down.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that helps, but that's what helps me.
No, it really does. I think you said some very important things. Rest. Being very mindful of stimuli. As you said, I did not know. I knew that bright lights irritate me, but I didn't know that that can really stimulate me to the point of pain. And so it was me kind of finding, this has been a very long journey for me. The last 2 to 3 years, I've been really focusing on healing, not just the traumas in my life, but also taking the time to figure out, who am I?
Mhm.
What makes me feel good? So I have even sometimes once a month spa day. It's not really a spa day, but I tell myself it's a spa day at home.
Sure.
And I get out my favorite outfit or whatever I want to look like for the night. I make sure I smell good. I just take time with myself and give myself extra love, because sometimes we are hard on ourselves,
Mhm.
especially with this condition, because of the inadequacy we may feel. And so I think all the things that you've given us, using getting rest, affirmations, doing our supplements, for those that prayer works sincerely. I am
Sure.
to say that it does.
Absolutely.
um and that release, that cry, right? Sometimes
Mhm.
that ugly cry,
Yeah.
and that pressure off of you, and you can kind of just be like, okay, I can do another day. And so
Mhm.
I want to thank you, Miss Lucy, for coming on
Of
here
course.
and sharing your heart and your great tools and tricks with us. I would love to invite you back. But in the meantime, you guys, if you have any questions for her, drop them down below. We'll get them to her, and we'll decide if we want to answer it again on part two,
Yes.
or if we'll have them sent over and then we'll email them back to you
And
guys.
also, yes, and also if I can just briefly say, healing emotionally, it's a lifelong journey, and I
Yeah.
am a counselor,
Mhm.
and I am still healing emotionally.
Right.
So from time to time, make sure you work with a counselor, a therapist, an energy healer. If you can't, definitely somebody you can trust, or journaling or whatever. But it's important to continue that inner healing, especially if we can say that very likely fibromyalgia is caused from emotional trauma. So yes.
Yes. No, you're fine. And would you like to let us know how we can contact you if they want you to be
Yeah.
a counselor, and what insurances you may or may not take, so that they
Yeah.
can get in touch with
Absolutely. So I do see people through Zoom, and you can reach me at 909-720-0983, or you can email me. We can post my email on there,
you?
but
Okay.
it's
Okay.
mlucy78@gmail.com. And thank you so much again. This really means a lot to
Cool.
me, because, you know, my goal is to be able to provide service. If I'm able to conquer this, which, obviously it's a process for me, and I'm not going to give up. So I really want to use social media as a way to just communicate what worked for me, and like you said, give people hope. So thank you
Of
very much.
course. Of course. Well, let's thank Miss Lucy for coming again.
Thank
And we
you.
will have you back. And I'm going to give you a call now and end the recording.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.